Has plunged more than 300 points during the last hour of trade. The Dow is now officially at a correction. And if you look at what happened, it was a tech sell-off that took the markets lower. But look closely. All day, it had been pretty much up by several hundred points. In the early afternoon, that dwindles. You get a couple of bumps. And then late, just before 3 o'clock, the sell-off begins. Investors are worried about regulation and the technology and a huge amount of government borrowing. Facebook closed down nearly 5% on worries of what's happening to the stock. We'll talk about Mark Zuckerberg giving testimony. Tesla fell by 8% over worries over what's happening there. Nvidia by a similar amount, and Twitter closed down 11% after an investor shorted the stock, believing its short price was $25 a share. Alison Cossack is at the New York Stock Exchange for us at the moment. Alison, we look at the graph of what happened to the Dow, and it really is a simple question to begin with. What happened just before 3 o'clock that turned the market sour?
I think what you're seeing is a market, Richard, that's really being headline-driven, and I think all of the things that were bothering the market over the past several weeks, all of those things haven't gone away. Trade fears, yes, an all-out trade war, those fears have rested, but the reality is the situation isn't over yet. Facebook still has its credibility issue, despite Zuckerberg going and saying that he's going to go testify to Congress. Those rising interest rates, rising inflation, that is heavy on investors' minds, especially because the government is looking to borrow $300 billion this week and is going to have to pay a lot more money for it. So the reality is an already anxious market is made to feel more anxious when you have these big names, big companies coming out with bad headlines. And I haven't even mentioned NVIDIA.
Right. But the interesting thing about this, Alison, is that, you know, the market had spent all session higher. And then it's the suddenness, which I understand is the volatility that we expect at the moment. But that suddenness can put investors firmly on the wrong side of the trade.
Right. So if you look at how the trade happened today, we saw that. Let's talk about the Dow. The Dow's not the S&P, but let's talk about the Dow. The Dow got as high as 200 points, but it couldn't hold there. We saw it sort of churn and move lower and lower, and then it just hit a level. And there you go. Sentiment over Facebook really rattled the market. Tech stocks across the board were hit. It was sort of sudden, and it really is a tech sector issue today that really moved the market lower as a whole. Richard?